Sheriff Tom Bennett had always been a staple in the small town of Willow Creek. With his weathered boots and wide-brimmed hat, he patrolled the streets with a watchful eye and a friendly smile. Growing up in Willow Creek, he knew every nook and cranny of the town, as well as its residents. Sheriff Tom was not just a lawman. He was a friend and confidant to many. His father had been the sheriff before him, instilling a strong sense of duty and community in him from a young age. The townspeople admired Sheriff Tom for his honesty and fairness. He treated everyone with respect, whether they were rich or poor, old or young. Every Saturday, he could be found at the local diner, sharing stories over coffee with the townsfolk while keeping an ear out for any trouble brewing. However, despite his approachable demeanor, there was always a hint of mystery surrounding him. One sunny afternoon, while cleaning out the dusty back room of the old town hall, Sheriff Tom stumbled upon something peculiar, a forgotten vault hidden behind a stack of boxes. Intrigued by this discovery, he brushed off years of grime and unlocked it with an old key he found nearby. What lay inside would change everything he knew about truth and deception in Willow Creek. As he peered into the dimly lit vault, a glimmer caught his eye, hinting at secrets waiting to be uncovered. As Sheriff Tom Bennett dusted off the old town hall, he noticed something odd about the back room. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and forgotten memories. Old photographs hung crookedly on the walls, whispering stories of days gone by. Curiosity tugged at him as he moved a stack of boxes, revealing a rusty door that seemed to blend into the shadows. Feeling a surge of excitement, Tom pulled out an old key he had found earlier while searching through the drawer of a dusty desk. The key was heavy in his palm, bearing intricate designs that hinted at its age. He inserted it into the lock with a soft click, pushing the door open to reveal a vault that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Inside, cobwebs draped over shelves filled with forgotten town records and artifacts. But it was what lay at the far end that caught his eye. A large wooden chest adorned with strange carvings that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. His heartbeat quickened as he approached it, brushing away layers of dust to uncover its secrets. With trembling hands, he opened the chest and revealed an assortment of coins, each glistening as if they held their own light. Sheriff Tom felt a mix of wonder and unease wash over him, knowing this discovery could lead to answers about Willow Creek's hidden past or open doors to mysteries better left closed. Little did he know, these coins were about to change everything he thought he understood about truth and honesty in his community. As Sheriff Tom carefully lifted the chest's lid, he was greeted by an astonishing sight. The ghost coins sparkled like stars caught in a moonlit sky, each coin reflecting a rainbow of colors that danced across the dimly lit vault. They were unlike any currency he had ever seen, crafted from a metal that glimmered with an otherworldly sheen. Each coin bore intricate designs, swirling patterns that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. Tom reached out, his fingers brushing against one of the coins, and an unexpected warmth spread through him. It felt alive, as if it held a heartbeat of its own. He lifted it closer to his eyes and noticed that the surface felt smooth yet cool to the touch, almost as if it absorbed light rather than reflected it. The moment he pulled it from the chest, the coin emitted a soft glow, illuminating the shadows around him with a gentle luminescence. But there was something else. An odd sensation in the air, a tingle of energy that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Tom's curiosity grew stronger as he wondered what made these coins so special. As he examined them further, he recalled old tales whispered among townsfolk about magical objects that revealed true intentions. Little did he know, these ghost coins held a power far beyond mere beauty. They would soon reveal the truth behind every lie spoken in their presence. As Sheriff Tom held the ghost coin in his hand, a thought crossed his mind. How could he test its peculiar abilities? He decided to invite a few trusted townsfolk over to the sheriff's office to share his discovery. With excitement bubbling in his chest, he explained the strange glow of the coins and their enchanting designs. The townspeople listened closely, their curiosity piqued. To demonstrate the coin's unusual properties, Tom proposed a simple game of truth-telling. He encouraged everyone to take turns sharing a statement about themselves. As they spoke, he carefully placed the coins on the table before them. At first, it was light-hearted fun. Stories flowed easily, laughter echoed, and the coins shimmered beautifully under the warm light. But then, as one townsperson began to share a story that felt slightly exaggerated, Tom noticed something alarming. The coin closest to that person started to melt away before their eyes. The atmosphere shifted dramatically. Gasps filled the room as they all turned to look at the disappearing coin. Realizing what had just happened, Tom felt a thrill of both fear and amazement. One by one, they experimented more with the coins, each time discovering that any untruth caused them to dissolve further. This revelation sent shockwaves through the room. Tom understood that these ghost coins not only revealed deception but also held an important lesson for everyone. Honesty was crucial in their lives and community. Eager to explore the full potential of the ghost coins, Sheriff Tom organized several gatherings at the town hall. Each meeting attracted a diverse group of townsfolk, friends, families, and even a few skeptics curious about the strange artifacts. As they settled into their seats, excitement buzzed in the air like electricity. Tom explained the rules. Each person would take turns sharing statements while the coins rested on the table. With every honest statement, he assured them the coins would remain intact. But any hint of falsehood would trigger their mystical power. The townspeople were both nervous and intrigued. They all wanted to see if anyone would dare to stretch the truth. As the first volunteer began talking about his favorite fishing trip, laughter filled the room as everyone listened closely. He spoke candidly, and his coin remained solid and bright. Encouraged by this success, others followed suit, sharing stories of childhood mischief or proud moments. However, when a woman began recounting an unbelievable tale about winning a pie-eating contest without practicing, tension rose in the room. The coin in front of her began to shimmer ominously before melting away right before their eyes. Gasps echoed as all eyes turned to her. She quickly looked embarrassed and fumbled for words. This pattern continued through each round of storytelling. Some coins gleamed proudly, while others met their demise as half-truths emerged. The reactions were mixed. Some were shocked and humbled by the revelations, while others laughed nervously at their unintentional slips. Through these experiments, Sheriff Tom recognized that honesty was not just a virtue but a vital part of their community's fabric that needed nurturing. Following the gatherings at the town hall, the discovery of the ghost coins sparked a wave of conversations throughout Willow Creek. People began to reflect on the significance of honesty and how it shaped their relationships with one another. Coffee shops and diners buzzed with discussions about the melting coins, and townsfolk shared their personal experiences regarding truthfulness and trust. Sheriff Tom noticed that more residents started to take responsibility for their words. Friends who had been distant mended their bonds, realizing that transparency could strengthen their connections. The coins acted as a mirror, reflecting not just their truths, but also their fears and desires for authenticity in a tight-knit community. Some townspeople recounted moments when a small lie had spiraled into bigger issues, causing rifts among families or friendships. These stories emphasized how easy it was to fall into dishonesty even unintentionally, while others expressed relief at finally confronting misunderstandings that had lingered for years. As the coins continued to intrigue and educate the townsfolk, they began to establish an unspoken agreement. Honesty would be prioritized in their daily lives. Through heartfelt discussions, people learned the value of being open and earnest, recognizing that trust was essential for a thriving community. Sheriff Tom realized that the coins had not only enhanced his understanding of truth, but had also woven a stronger fabric of trust within Willow Creek. It became clear that, while honesty might feel vulnerable at times, it ultimately led to a more united and compassionate town. As the excitement surrounding the ghost coins grew, not all the townsfolk shared Sheriff Tom's vision of honesty and community. A few began to see the coins as tools for personal gain rather than symbols of truth. Whispers spread through Willow Creek about using the coins to expose others' secrets or to settle old scores, and tensions began to rise. One evening, a small group gathered at the local tavern, where they devised a plan to manipulate the coins for their own purposes. They believed that by calling out others during storytelling sessions, They could use the melting coins as evidence against their perceived rivals. As rumors swirled about who was trustworthy and who was not, the atmosphere shifted from camaraderie to suspicion. Tom soon caught wind of this troubling behavior when he noticed a growing divide among his friends and neighbors. Formerly united groups began turning against one another, fueled by jealousy and resentment. The coins that had once inspired honesty now became weapons in a battle for social status. At a community meeting called by Tom, he confronted this troubling trend head-on. He emphasized that the coins were never meant to harm relationships or create conflict, but were intended as reminders of the importance of truth. However, some townsfolk were unwilling to hear him out, insisting they merely sought justice. The sheriff realized he needed to act decisively before mistrust consumed Willow Creek entirely. He vowed to remind everyone that while honesty was vital, compassion must guide their actions when using such powerful artifacts. The challenge ahead would be finding a way to restore harmony in a community on the brink of chaos. In the days following the tumultuous meeting, Sheriff Tom Bennett found himself in a deep quandary. He had always championed honesty, but as the chaos around the ghost coins escalated, he began to foresee the unintended consequences of absolute truth. The very foundation of his beloved community seemed to be crumbling, and he worried that unfiltered honesty could lead to irreversible damage among friends and families. Tom recalled how some townsfolk had turned against one another, wielding the coins like weapons instead of tools for growth. He could see friendships being strained and families divided over misunderstandings that had bubbled to the surface. While truth was essential, he pondered whether exposing every secret would ultimately bring clarity or simply chaos. He spent hours walking through Willow Creek, observing its familiar streets and greeting neighbors who now glanced at each other with suspicion. As the sheriff, he felt heavy with responsibility, torn between his commitment to truth and his desire to protect the bonds that held the town together. Could he allow lies to persist to preserve harmony, or did he risk everything for the sake of honesty? As he sat down at his kitchen table, Tom knew he had to find a balance. He needed a way to encourage honest conversations without causing more strife amongst his community. Perhaps thoughtful honesty, truth tempered with kindness, could be the answer. Sheriff Tom resolved to lead Willow Creek toward a path where trust could flourish without losing the compassion that made their town special. Determined to restore harmony in Willow Creek, Sheriff Tom Bennett called for a community meeting at the town hall, knowing it was time to address the underlying lessons of the ghost coins. As townsfolk gathered, there was a palpable tension in the air. Some faces appeared anxious while others looked defensive. Tom understood that clear communication would be vital. Once everyone settled, he stood before them, holding one of the shimmering coins in his hand. These coins were meant to remind us of the value of honesty, he began, his voice steady but warm. But we must also remember that truth can be a delicate thing. It should not be used as a weapon against one another. He urged them to share their experiences with honesty and how it had shaped their relationships. One by one, townspeople began to speak up, recounting moments when truth had brought them closer or when misunderstandings had led to conflict. As they listened to each other's stories, the atmosphere shifted from suspicion to empathy. Tom encouraged deeper conversations about how they could support one another in being truthful while also being kind. He proposed that instead of using the coins for judgment or revenge, they could focus on building trust and understanding among themselves. By the end of the meeting, many felt a renewed sense of connection and purpose. The sheriff reminded them that while honesty is crucial, compassion is equally important. With this resolution in mind, Willow Creek began its journey towards healing and unity, a community ready to embrace both truth and kindness together. As Sheriff Tom Bennett sat on his porch that evening, he reflected on the journey that had unfolded in Willow Creek over the past few weeks. The ghost coins, once a source of excitement and chaos, had become powerful symbols of truth, revealing the delicate balance between honesty and compassion. He thought about the lessons learned not just by himself but by the entire community. Tom realized that honesty was not merely about speaking truth but also about being mindful of how that truth affected others. Absolute honesty could lead to hurt feelings and fractured relationships if delivered without care. The townspeople had grown through this experience, understanding that integrity must be paired with empathy for it to truly strengthen their bonds. Looking at the shimmering coins resting in a glass display on his table, he pondered their fate. They no longer needed to be used as tools for judgment or revenge. Instead, they served as reminders of the importance of thoughtful communication and understanding. The sheriff decided that the coins would be kept safe in the town hall, where they could inspire future generations to value both honesty and kindness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Tom felt a sense of hope and unity within Willow Creek. The community had emerged stronger, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. He smiled, knowing that while their journey was far from over, they had taken significant steps toward healing and understanding, lessons that would last long after the coins had faded away.